You know, sometimes I wish I was more like Beyonce. Never mind, we're basically the same person. Me and Queen Bee's favorite pastime is more commonly known as Rhythm Heaven, the second entry in the Rhythm Heaven series, but the first to leave Japan, where it's called Rhythm Tengoku Gold. And in PAL regions, it was released under the name Rhythm Paradise, because they always have to change it to something stupid over there, like how Contra became Probotector and Pikmin became Gerald. For the uninitiated, the Rhythm Heaven series are games split up into several bite-sized rhythm mini-games, and just like last time, I'm gonna rank them all on a scale of 1 to 10. But first, we gotta get down to brass tacks, cause this isn't your granddad's rhythm game. We don't use buttons, it's the Nintendo DS, which means you have to turn the thing 90 degrees and pop out that thing you used to suck at Brain Age. I love how this game just assumes I'm right-handed. We really need to end white supremacist bigotry. Now that we're in the correct orientation, I can see this circle thing just begging me to touch it. But seeing as I don't really have anything else going on today, I reluctantly oblige. Upon doing so, we're introduced to a blue frog. He quickly has us commit some atrocities to learn the basics of tapping, holding, and flicking the stylus to perform different actions, and after that we can finally start our first rhythm game, Built to Scale. This game has you working in a factory flinging rods through moving squares right as they overlap with each other. Obviously the timing of this is easily derived from the rhythm. There's this one part at the end where the lights turn off, which I'm sure is against some OSHA regulation, but it forces the player to rely on their ears rather than their eyes. It's a simple game, but really effective at teaching the player about rhythm as well as the stylus controls. Next is Glee Club. Glee Club! Where you take control of one of the 3 chorus kids, who were apparently considered for a spot in Super Smash Bros. At one point. Why not Karate Joe? In this one, your character sings automatically, and you have to tap and hold to shut him up. Imagine if this was your default setting. I know people like that. You got a release to sing both in the same rhythm as the other 2, as well as for the same length. And when the conductor says, flick the stylus to unleash horrors beyond comprehension. This game is basically a better, more in-depth version of the Clappy Trio minigame from Rhythm Tengoku. And would you look at that, the conductor is actually one of the Clappy Trio members. That's a nice touch. Fillbots. Fill the bots, believe it or not. You have to tap and hold when the robot passes under the pump, and release when it's perfectly fueled up. Don't over or underdo it. The amount of time you have to hold depends on the type of robot it is. The regular ones take 4 beats to fill, while the big ones take 8. This one's pretty fun, and I like the part where you have to fill to the offbeat. Now Fan Club is an interesting one, because I'm pretty sure it contains the only song where the singer was falling in and out of consciousness while recording it.
Hey now, here is my song for you, yeah that's right.
For real, the Japanese version is way better. As for the game, it's okay. You play as this monkey, and you have to follow the cues from the song to determine which action to perform. For instance, if the singer repeats a word 3 times, you have to clap 4 times, and if she says, I suppose, you do this jump thing. I like the concepts presented here, but it's like stupidly short and simple. We're up to Remix 1, and if you don't know, that just means a rhythm game that sort of smashes all the ones we've just played together into, well, a remix. And I have to say, this is a pretty good first remix. Very simple, of course, but I really like how it progressively speeds up throughout, and each time it speeds up, it uses the Fillbots segment to help you set the new tempo, which is pretty clever. Unfortunately for this game, it can't really be ranked too high just because of its sheer simplicity. Now we move on to our next set of minigames, 4 in a remix, starting with Rhythm Rally. You just play ping pong to the rhythm, what's not to like? Sometimes the ball comes in slower or faster, and it's just something you gotta deal with. I love how the flicking motion adds to the feeling that you're just smacking the ball, and honestly it lost a little bit of its charm in the transition to Megamix when they removed the touch controls. Shoot 'em up's a pretty neat one. The enemies fly in with a certain rhythm, and you gotta tap at that same rhythm to shoot them up. There are quite a few games like this throughout the series where you have to repeat a rhythm that's shown to you, but the patterns in this one just make it really fun. You know, Warfare never seemed like a whole lot of fun until I played Bluebirds. You play as one of the Blue Birds in boot camp, where I guess Sergeant Duck here thinks it's awfully prudent to teach you how to smash your face into the ground and give you whiplash instead of, you know, actual combat training. Tap to peck your beak, and flick to stretch your neck. I have to say, this is a really cute game, apart from all the PTSD. Moai Doo-Up finally answers the burning question. What do those darn heads from the 2011 hit movie Hop starring James Marsden get up to every day? Turns out, not a whole lot. This is another one of those Simon Says type games where you have to copy a rhythm. This time you have to copy whatever this guy sings to you, or face a barrage of bird crap. If you tap and hold, your Moai sings, and if you just do a quick tap, they cough very inconsiderately. Despite this one being similar to Shoot 'em Up in some ways, I don't like it nearly as much. For some reason, the game always reads my quick taps as too long and it does the wrong thing. You might call it a skill issue, but I call it a 3 out of 10. Remix 2 has some nice tropical vibes. Actually, I like how all the games get new graphics for the remixes. Overall, this one's pretty alright. I think. To be honest, I kinda forgot everything about it immediately after I finished. It just wasn't too memorable. I do like how in the shoot 'em up sections you blast some variety of kumquat. I hate those things. Off to the third set of games, starting with Love Lizards. You take the role of a female lizard in Heat, perfect for a kid's game, and whenever the male lizard shakes his maraca tail, you have to slide the stylus in a specific way to make a rattling sound. And if you do it wrong, he gets all sad. This is such a unique game, even by Rhythm Heaven DS standards, but I have to ask, why do I, as the female character, have to follow the male character's lead and make him happy? I'm pretty sure in the animal kingdom, the male generally has to impress the female. Not to mention, I could probably eat this pipsqueak if I wanted to. In Crop Stomp, you're a farmer who will do anything except for harvest crops like a normal person. Of course, you gotta stomp the vegetables out of the ground by tapping the screen, but don't forget to fling them into your basket with a flick, or they'll just replant themselves. Oh, also, watch out for Monty Mole. This is a really fun one to just get into the flow of, and it has the distinction of playing one of the grooviest songs I've ever heard in my entire life. Freeze Frame has you down at the racetrack, snapping pictures of incredibly fast-moving cars. And carrots. There are also times when the game will try and take away your visual cues with incredibly rude pieces of human filth walking in front of you. But honestly, I never found the visual cues to be all that helpful in this game anyway, because the cars drive off screen before you have to take the picture. It's pretty easy and kinda boring, but I like all the Rhythm Tengoku character cameos. The Dazzles gives us a glimpse on what it's like to perform in an ice cube tray. It's a lot of squatting. Tap and hold to squat down and flick to strike a pose at the right time. Unfortunately, this game also suffers from, I have a really freaking annoying song syndrome. But the game itself isn't half bad. I really like these parts where you have to pose to a more irregular pattern. Remix 3 is one of the first remixes that comes to mind when I'm thinking about Rhythm Heaven DS. The style is just unmatched, and the music is awesome. I love how the Love Lizards rhythm is changed to match the song, and this part where the Dazzles leads into Crop Stomp is what dreams are made of.
3, 2,
Absolutely stellar remix. Munchie Monk spits in the face of everything I thought I knew about monks. Temperance and moderation? Nah, just stuff your face. In all seriousness though, I love this game. You have to fling the dumplings into your mouth by tapping the screen, but there are 3 different types. The white ones are one and dones, the green ones come with 3 in quick succession, and the pink ones come 2 at a time and require a double tap. Munchie Monk is just fast-paced fun, and the song is a certified banger. DJ School? I can't help feeling that I've limited my career options by coming here. You have to follow this Yellowman's cues for stopping or spinning the record, and he gets increasingly more unhinged as the game progresses. Ugh. This is another game that highly benefits from the stylus controls. It's like I'm really there. It's good fun, if not a bit repetitive. Drummer Duel is what I can only assume to be an attempt by the devs to lure the Taiko no Tatsujin players back from the dark side. But in doing so, they ended up creating a very fun game. Once again, you gotta copy the rhythm, and bang it out on your big old drum. The patterns are fun and complex. Every single time I think I've completely forgotten the pattern that was just played, but I usually end up nailing it anyway. But this fast part needs to chill out. I feel like I'm having a heart attack. One cool thing about using the DS touchscreen is that you can use pretty much anything to play, even real drumsticks if you want to add some realism. I don't own drumsticks. The next game, Love Lab, tells us that the research scientists of Love Lab intend to get to the bottom of this whole love thing, which is a really cute cover story for what's clearly a meth operation. Press and hold to catch the flasks as they're haphazardly hurled at you. Slide the stylus across the screen to shake the flask in the pattern your partner just did, and flick to throw ye flask to the next guy. I told you there were a lot of these copy the pattern games, but this one is so much more engaging and fun because it adds the catching and throwing parts. Not to mention the music is really pleasant, and I love the way it builds up throughout the course of the game. Given that Row 4 has had some really solid games, it's only natural to think that Remix 4 would wind up as a good remix. And it is. It's just fun. It's really funny to me that the Munchie Monk sections are so fast that they have to count you in every time, and the background changing to sunset in between the Love Lab parts is such a nice touch. Splashdown, to my surprise, isn't a game about crashing a plane into a body of water, but instead synchronized swimming. Boo. Follow the lead of your teammates and go under and pop out of the water, and even jump on dolphins. It's just kinda mediocre in my opinion. At one point I decided to stop playing and see if they would stop the show to check on me if I just held my character underwater. They didn't. Big Rock Finish lets you play as the cutest little ghosts ever, who apparently only play the endings of songs. There's a set pattern you have to strum, so you just have to alter your speed to the 8 different songs, and sometimes you have to do it really fast or really slow. One interesting thing about this game is that the 8 songs can be selected in different orders, so you can never be sure which one is coming next. It's a neat idea, but definitely lacking the substance that some of the other games have. What are 2 concepts that literally every single person can get behind? Dogs and ninjas. Whoa. You gotta help Dog Ninja in his vendetta against vegetables and various other objects by slicing to the rhythm with a quick flick of the stylus. This game takes such a simple concept and uses mix-ups in their rhythm to really let it shine. Plus the music is fantastic, and it's so satisfying to slice things. It could, however, benefit from adding maybe one other mechanic into the mix. Frog Hop is ridiculously long. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game, I really like it. There's a large variety of moves you need to do like double tapping, triple tapping, and spinning, all while keeping time with constant taps throughout the whole song. It's just so long. And even though I do know how long it is, I'm still surprised every time I play it, because there are at least 3 points in the game where it feels like it could end, but it just keeps going. Like I said, it is a good game. I just feel like my hand's gonna cramp up whenever I play it. Remix 5 is just okay. I really like this part with the frogs, and it's certainly commendable that they managed to fit Big Rock Finish into places other than the ending, and it actually works. But it's a bit slow, and I don't like how literally every time they throw a vegetable in the Dog Ninja sections, they warn you first.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's lame. Space soccer, man. Space soccer. There's just something so good about it. Whenever I play it, I just feel like I get into the flow. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just plain fun. You have to keep the ball up with your knee by tapping the screen and kick the ball with a flick when prompted to. The constant tapping to keep the ball up is reminiscent of actually juggling a soccer ball. Not that I can do that. And it's just kind of mesmerizing when all the players line up and the music picks up. Next up is the infamous lockstep. You're a step switcher, this weird headphone-wearing freak, and you have to tap to the beat, which causes your character to turn, showing the white half of his body. When you hear this cue, you have to switch to tapping on the off beat, which causes the step switcher to turn to the other side and show the gray half of his body. And when this cue plays, you have to switch back to tapping on beat. Switching at the right time is integral to playing well, and the constant tapping and trying to keep on or off beat creates a frantic and ridiculously fun experience. So much so that Lockstep is not only my favorite minigame in Rhythm Heaven DS, but in the whole series as well. But it's not just because of its gameplay, because Lockstep holds so much more significance through its symbolism. You're a step switcher in a sea of thousands, tens of thousands, just trying to do your best to keep up and follow the rapidly changing rules of your society, to avoid standing out. You follow the norm because it's all you can do in order to fit in, to not be seen as an inconvenience, an invalid. All the while, the higher echelon of society watches your struggle gleefully from the background, almost as if it was entertainment, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is try and stay in perfect lockstep with the rest of your peers, and eventually, inevitably, you will mess up, and the world will see you for what they always were hoping you'd be, a failure. Don't you get it? It's not just a game, it's an allegory for life! Lockstep is life! Rockers, you play guitar. Nah, I'm just kidding. Rockers is another one of those games where you have to follow the pattern of your partner, in this case strum the same way as your rock and roll mentor. This game distinguishes itself from the others by having more complex patterns as well as parts where you both have to play at the same time. Plus, flicking the stylus to play the guitar just feels so right. I really like this game. He's back! Karate Joe makes his return in Karate Man, the final non-sequel, non-remix rhythm game, after being the very first in Rhythm Tengoku. It's got everything you'd expect from a Karate Man game. You punch the flower pots, you do the hit threes, but this time it ups the ante, with barrels filled with bombs. You have to punch the barrel and then kick the bomb away with a flick. This is pure Rhythm Heaven bliss. Honestly, it's amazing what a simple new mechanic and an absolutely banging music track can do for a concept. Because even though I really like the original Karate Man from Tengoku, this one is so much better. Also, I love how this game kind of started the recurring theme of having Karate Joe listen to groovy but really sad romance songs as he trains. It just kind of adds to the misery of this pitiful character. With all the super amazing games we've had in Row 6, I have to say I'm kind of disappointed with Remix 6. It's okay, just kind of slow and repetitive. It feels like you're playing the same section over and over until the end, when the lockstep part continues after the beat switch, instead of changing games like it did the first 100 times. I do like that, and Karate Joe's mullet is awesome. And with that, we make it to the credits. There's still plenty of games to rank, but this is where the game decided to slap the credits for some reason. And you get to watch these funny little guys do epic skateboard stunts as the names go by. Hey look, you is in the credits! That's my name! I mean, it's cool and all, but I wish you could play this. Well, lucky for me I can, just not the first time. For some reason you have to select the credits from the menu, and then it lets you play the game, which is called airborder by the way. You tap to duck under the blocks and flick to jump over. It's pretty basic, but it's awesome that they added a whole extra game just for the credits. Alright, now it's break time. Just like the first game, Rhythm Heaven has rhythm toys, endless games, and some other extra stuff apart from the rhythm games, so let's take a look. Rhythm toys are similar to the previous game, just some bite-sized distractions, starting with Business Card. Let's see Paul Allen's rhythm toy. I'm gonna be honest, the only one really worth anything here is the Octopus Machine. It's actually really fun and totally could have been its own endless game. The other ones aren't anything to write home about unless you really want to gamble, harass a drummer, give this guy brain damage, or not talk to someone on the phone. You really need to work on your phone etiquette. On the other hand, the endless games are pretty good. Coin toss, flip the coin and catch it as many times as you can. Shoot 'em up has an endless version. I'd be really concerned if there wasn't. There's Tunnel, where you can be the world's most annoying passenger. Samurai Slice. This is the best endless game. You have to launch the watermelons and other things into the air and slice them on the way down. Glass Tappers, featuring the most easily impressed woman on the earth. And finally, Rhythmove Dungeon. I'm not good at this one. Finally, there's the guitar lessons, kind of like the drum lessons from Rhythm Tengoku, except these are actually possible. You just play a game of rockers to the songs from other rhythm games. It's pretty neat. And if you get all A ranked, you can take part in the Battle of the Bands. I'm not doing that. But look, there's a phone number. Hopefully I can have a real conversation with words.
Yo.
Not with you. Row 7 begins with Built to Scale 2. That's right, we're in sequel territory now. This version completely overshadows the original, with more complex and faster rhythms. It's super hectic, but also really fun. The Dazzles 2 is incredibly similar to the original. Of course that makes it good, but I kinda wish there was something more. It adds a few new patterns, but they're barely utilized, so I guess it's better than the first one, but only marginally so. Frog Hop 2 is Frog Hop, but without the annoying frog singing, instead replacing it with a sick sax solo, so that automatically makes it better. The Rhythm Heaven wiki says that the tempo is slightly faster and it adds an extra verse compared to the original. I seriously could not confirm that for you if I wanted to, because the Frog Hop games are so long my mind just goes blank when I'm playing. It's still good though. Moving on to another long one, it's Fan Club 2. This game feels like a true evolution of the first one. First of all, it's like twice as long. They add an entire second half to the song. And secondly, there's an entirely new mechanic. When the monkeys go,
Talking to you.
you have to clap twice, and this new mechanic is absolutely littered throughout the game. I really like Remix 7. Not only is it a fun and fast-paced remix, but it uses one of the songs from Big Rock Finish. Cause in that game you only hear about 5 seconds of it, it feels so weird when the song doesn't end immediately. Like, I keep expecting the ghost to come out and I have to play the Big Rock Finish, but it seriously just keeps going. It's like when you really have to sneeze, but you just can't and it makes you feel horrendous. I love it. And then finally, after all this time, the ghosts show up and you get to play the ending! Oh, I missed it! If Rhythm Rally 1 was playing ping pong at your buddy's house over some beers, then Rhythm Rally 2 is playing ping pong at the Olympics against Forrest Gump. There's no messing around here. It's way faster and way more fun. I especially enjoy the parts where you have to hit the ball back super fast repeatedly. Philbots 2 is apparently the longest game in the whole Rhythm Heaven series, besides remixes, but it doesn't feel as long as Frog Hop to me because you don't have to tap to the beat the whole time. But let me tell you, it's still an endurance. Besides the length, they also added a new type of robot to fill alongside the other ones from Philbots 1, being the small robot requiring 2 beats to fill. Also, the lights go out at several points during this game. I don't know why the factories keep doing this, but it forces you to rely more on the rhythm. It's incredibly engaging. Bluebirds 2 is basically the first game again, but this time in the bitter Siberian snow. Oh, and with a whole lot more. Apparently these guys were spying on Karate Joe, but I never took him as a person of interest for the Soviets. Huh. Lockstep 2 is unfortunately not as good as the first one, but to be fair, you can't really improve on perfection. It's also the only sequel game in the series that I think is easier than the original, mainly because of how much slower it is. I think they did this because Lockstep 2's song has a swing to it, which would make the game really hard at high tempos. An interesting thing about the swing beat though, is that it makes the switch from offbeat to onbeat quicker and the switch from on to off slower, so you have to adjust to that. Remix 8 is one of the best remixes in the whole game. It starts off with this fast rhythm rally section where you have to hit the ball super fast, and it switches between that and some Dog Ninja sections. After a bit, there's a whole slew of other games back to back, including my beloved Lockstep, and they all just work so well together. And to wrap it all up, it returns to the alternating Rhythm Rally and Dog Ninja sections, except it progressively gets faster and faster, to the point that it's just ludicrous. Just a completely stellar remix all around. As if coming to punish me for all my happiness and positivity about Remix 8, Moai Doo-Wop 2 is here to just be terrible. I hate this game even more than the first one. The patterns are more complex, which could be seen as a good thing, and it usually would be, but not with this horrendous of a game. I've never even gotten a superb rank once, and I'm not going to start now. I'll just settle for giving them relationship problems in the epilogue. Karate Man 2 comes swinging with a bad case of foot in the title screen. It's just Karate Man again, but dare I say even better. I know, I didn't think it was possible either. Sakurai, add this guy to Smash! Glee Club 2 is a nice evolution of the first one. The singing is a lot crazier this time around, and I like how different it looks compared to the original. What I'm not a fan of, however, is the conductor's Speedo. Space Soccer 2. Nothing says Space Soccer 2 like cowboys. Wait, what? Remix 9 gives us a warning to not miss the audio cues for Space Soccer. Oh crap! You know, despite this game's somewhat heavy use of Moai Doo-Wop, I don't hold it against it. Actually, I think it's kinda sorta clever the way they have you holding down an input for Moai Doo-Wop, and then it changes to Glee Club, and since you're already holding down the stylus, your character isn't singing. It's a pretty solid remix. Shoot 'em Up 2 is good, but there's this one part where you have to double tap that I just can't get down for the life of me. This is another one that I've never been able to superb, but it has infinitely more merit than Moai Doo-Wop 2, much like most things on this planet. Splashdown 2, talk about an improvement. They should show these two as a before and after in rehab brochures. This one's way more interesting than the first one. You have to go in and out of the water way more quickly. And look, nobody drowned this time. Munchie Monk 1 was criminally short, so luckily we have Munchie Monk 2. It's just more Munchie Monk, but this time in a circus, and with a fire new arrangement of the song. Rockers 2 is the only minigame here that requires you to push a button. To bend the note that you strum, you press the L button, or the right button if you're one of my right-handed oppressors. This mechanic takes the great game that was Rockers and elevates it to another level. Remix 10 is the culmination of everything you've learned so far in this game. Literally, it's a remix containing every single rhythm game, and it is awesome. Yeah, this is the best remix in the game, and it's one of the best in the whole series. The medley they play has every game's song incorporated into it, and this transition from shoot 'em up to lockstep needs to be preserved for posterity. There has not been a single transition in a remix this good since. Everything about this is perfect, and it's such a high note to leave the game on, and a nice way to reminisce all the fun had throughout. Rhythm Heaven on the DS took the concepts presented by the first game and just brought them to the next level. As much as I love Rhythm Tengoku, I don't think it's controversial to say that game had some stinkers. Don't get me wrong, this one does too, but not nearly as many, and its highs are so much higher to boot, especially in the remix department. And while I do generally prefer the more traditional button controls for Rhythm Heaven, this game's stylus controls are incredibly fine-tuned and work great for the minigames they designed for them. Plus, this game brought us lockstep, that's more than any of us can say about ourselves.
Say my name.